Three.
Yes. Hello, NFL fans. Welcome back to Hurdle the Line. It is the Week 18 review show, the last regular season week review show. With me, as always, is my co-host Tom, and then, of course, super producer. I said it. I got it. Fletch. How are we, guys? Let me just be. Usually, we say like, "Oh, all of us, all of our teams won, yada yada, or whatever." Which actually, I did not happen this weekend. Sorry, Tom. But all of our teams are not in the playoffs this season, so there we go.
Yeah,
That's a first for the three of us together.
three
Not
of
for
us, and
me.
then Ollie as well. So I mean, he's
Yeah.
not here,
So
but the Browns obviously did not make the playoffs. So yeah,
yeah. Happy New Year. And I didn't see you. Did you guys have a nice? I thought you were saying your daughter was with you this over New Year's, which is fun. She made it to midnight. Tom, did you do anything exciting?
I
Young
just
man
went
out on the
out.
town.
Yeah, just went out on the town in Birmingham. So yeah, it was fun. Good.
Yeah,
Can't
what's the
can't complain.
nightlife like in Birmingham right now on a New Year's
It's
Eve?
yeah, it's interesting for sure. I went to an R&B and hip hop event, and
Ooh,
yeah, it was I mean, it wasn't really playing R&B or hip hop, but it was an event, so there you go.
well, there we go. Well, we'll be doing a like side summer pod of Tom's nightlife in
That's
the
it.
city of
Stay
Birmingham.
tuned.
Yeah, there we go. Before we get rolling here, Fletch, do you want to give us a AAW update and hit us up with some stuff?
Yeah, so I apologize to everyone because the last couple of weeks, been a bit of a pain at home with certain important pieces of equipment just not working. Uh, Seems to be fixed now. Over Christmas, we made some slight changes to the way at the front-facing side of the AAW network. Instead of having individual pod socials, we're moving to like I've had conversations with multiple people over a couple of months and just tried to work out what's best for the AAW network and how we can best do these things. So, seeing what other people who do what we do, uh, what they do, trying to move into a bit more of a better format. We instead of having the individual pod socials, we've got things like just an NFL dedicated account, a CFB dedicated account, and then the central AAW account will just work on essentially all pod updates, article updates, all things like that. So for Hurdle the Line updates, you'll just want to follow the AAW network. And if you want to just kind of be part of our NFL coverage as a wider just NFL coverage, I guess, you just want to AAW underscore NFL.
Awesome. Always working hard. That's why you are the super producer to me. See, I figured out if I don't try to say super producer really fast, I can actually say it. There we go. Guys, week 18. My personal opinion, it is I never wanted 17 games, but that's neither here nor there. And this week was quite weird. Um, the Saturday games, which were, pulled out for the ESPN overlords from the NFL, were supposed to be determining the divisions, which obviously one of them did and determined a number one seed as well. The other one gave us some weird, quirky NFC South, which only the NFC South can do. But anyway, um, there were some interesting games. Tom, you texted me that you want to talk about Steelers Ravens first,
Yeah.
and as you are my co-host and my friend, and a man out in town in Birmingham for the ladies listening, Birmingham, sorry. Tell me why this game is interesting to you outside of the fact that it determined the AFC North, which the Steelers did win.
So through three quarters, it wasn't interesting, but the fourth quarter is where the game came to life. It was 27 points scored in the fourth quarter. It looked at different points. I mean, I don't know what the defense was happening on either side for the Ravens or the Steelers. There was one play where Zay Flowers got so wide open, I don't think there was anyone within 20 yards of him, and he just waltzed into the end zone. And that was with just over, I think, a minute and a half left, something like that. And then, the Steelers then going down the field, they get a wide open touchdown as well, and they go ahead. Um, and then it looks like the Steelers might lose because Boswell, he's been their kicker for the longest time, barely ever
Mhm.
misses an extra point, misses an extra point. So it's 26-24 right near the end of the game. The Ravens then on 4th and 7, their season on the line. Lamar Jackson completes a pass to Isaiah Likely, goes in the high points the ball. They get in field goal range. It looks like they're going to kick the winning field goal, only for Tyler Luke, their rookie kicker, who's been really good this year, to heartbreakingly miss for the Ravens, handing the Steelers the division and a playoff berth, and the Ravens just weren't able to overcome that 1-5 start. So to me, it was just more the kind of craziness of the fourth quarter of that game, really.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
see Aaron Rodgers kind of pulling some magic out of his hat there in the fourth quarter to win this game, 24-26. But yeah, I guess we get to see the 10-7 Steelers. Mike Tomlin does it again
Yeah.
in the playoffs. They're going to be playing Houston, I believe, and
Yeah, get
getting
ready for
their
that defense.
yeah, and getting the life choked out of them, which is why the
Yeah,
other reason
I
why I
can
didn't really
already
want to.
wait. Yeah, it's already premonition
It's a
that
Sunday night
Yeah.
game too. It's the last game of the wild card weekend. By the way,
No, no.
folks, we know that. Go ahead.
Wildcard weekend stretches to Monday night as well. The
Oh, that's
Rams
right.
are on Monday night.
And
No,
I
it's
wanted to say
no.
one more thing for this game, which I thought was hilarious, was in the press conference afterwards, because there's been a lot of talk about Mike Tomlin this season. I was fired, Mike Tomlin chants, all this sort of stuff. But then in typical Mike Tomlin fashion, when he was asked about if Baltimore had made the game-winning kick, he said, "You know how it is. If my aunt had male parts, she'd be my uncle." So that was just a good soundbite from Mike Tomlin, who's always uh, privy for a good soundbite. Anyway,
Sorry, I was
Yes,
I was
but
I was wrong. It's
it's the
Monday
Texans
night.
Steelers.
Monday night is
Yeah.
Texans Steelers. Yeah,
No, Rams got the
the first
yeah
the
the
opener,
crap Saturday
hmm.
which
game.
I can be forgiven for because normally the first Saturday
I
window
was
in the
about to
playoffs
say
is
how
reserved
the
for the
Texans are not
Texans.
playing on the first Saturday
Well, it's the
this side
AFC
of free
South is
agency.
usually that's their game.
Yeah.
It's whoever in the AFC South wins. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
like that used to be prime time Matt Schaub, as some people might say. All right, guys.
So
So it
just
is the Steelers. Yep. No,
can I
you don't
just
have
say
to
the
apologize.
one thing I want to say on this game because obviously, well, we're not going to be talking much Ravens for the next few weeks. Those plays towards the end in the fourth quarter were some of those that like this season we've been crying out for Lamar Jackson to be Lamar Jackson, and they were prime Lamar Jackson style plays. Like he's got seven people jumped on him. He might be dead under there, and then he pops out, rolls out, and launches it 40 yards up. Like that's what we've been missing from Lamar Jackson all year. Oh, that
hmm.
almost only he can make those kind of plays. And it's just a shame that it finally came out this season with 6 minutes to go. Um, which
Yeah,
is frustrating, but it was just I just wanted to echo what Tom said about some of those plays in the fourth quarter that were just it was they were electric plays that just you kind of just associate with Lamar Jackson anyway.
But I think this might be interesting enough, and not to go too down a wormhole with this, Fletch. This is sort of the NBA-fication of NFL a little bit, where it's like, yes,
hmm.
we want to see Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, but also it's a team. The NFL is about team.
Hmm?
There's like 50 guys on a team, and that team underachieved this year and did not play well. And they don't, I know that we opened the playoffs to two more teams a couple years ago in the wild card round. Again, I think it dilutes the playoff product, but again, that's not my choice. But no, I don't. I actually don't want to see either one of these teams, to be really
No,
honest with
no,
you.
I mean,
Though
I
I
agree
do
with
think
you.
the Steelers, just from the way they played. I mean, the same thing. Well, I'll say the same thing about like, look, I think the Carolina Panthers actually deserve to be in, but the way they've played as of late, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, it's hard to say. It's like, but there's definite teams where it's like nothing's going to happen next week for
Hmm.
most of the teams.
no.
Maybe a
Yeah.
miracle, maybe.
I I absolutely agree with you, and I'm not saying by the way that I want Lamar Jackson in the playoffs per
Right.
se. I'm just
No,
saying
I didn't take it
the
that way.
the plays that came out were just I wanted to see this all year. we haven't seen it all year, and when we have seen Lamar Jackson get a few games together, it's been a relatively poor product. Just really exciting to see. On that note, though, do you reckon we pull together like a committee because that's working really well at the moment? Just decide on the top 12 teams in the NFL. Um,
Yeah,
Go
I
to
heard
that
an
program.
idea
I
actually,
just
Chapman, that you might have heard on the Huddle the Line today, but it was from Connor Orr, and he said that we should do an almost play-in sort of tournament towards the end
Oh
for
yeah,
these, so we actually get the hottest team in the playoffs, not a team that's on a two-game losing streak that's,
yeah,
looks like a walk-in first round exit.
what
yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah,
love is the Browns won the last two games of the season. You just
yeah.
on some basis of like winning streak going into the. Could you imagine the Browns end up making the playoffs and then that kind of goes on? It'd be. I'm all for it. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah,
I'm very, very much all for it. Just chaos. If
yeah.
James Madison and Tulane can get into the college football playoffs, I don't see any reason why this can't happen.
Oh God, let's not college football up NFL, please. No, that's just too. There's already enough angry middle-aged Americans.
I was, listen, I'm trying. I've been trying to. I'm gently but trying to poke the bear here, and I did it with the committee comment that you didn't bite at. So, um,
I mean, I don't make the rules. All right, guys, let's move on. Is there Fletch? I gave Tom carte blanche. There was a game that really interests you yesterday that you were excited about that you'd love to jump in on.
um, I don't know. It was. I think the dare I bring up the Falcons and
No,
Saints.
we won.
Um, Not necessarily for the product on the field, but the fact that
No.
neither team could make the playoffs, but it somehow decided the postseason fate of two teams that weren't playing in the game had already played that weekend. The juxtaposition of these two teams deciding playoff fates was quite interesting. Obviously, I've got personal ties to the game with one of my most wonderful friends, being a Falcons fan, and you too, Chapman. No, I'm joking. One of my most wonderful friends being a Falcons fan, and my wife being a Saints fan. There's a little bit of something there. I just thought the juxtaposition of the way the game ended up being presenting itself was quite funny.
Yeah, it was a defensive battle. I will say this. I mean, but I was very impressed with Chuck, especially since the Saints had no Chris Olave, no Alvin Kamara, and he was making a lot happen with players off the excuse me. But the Falcons defense was the winner here because Bijan Robinson couldn't do anything against that Saints front, which is, I mean, Chase Young, man, I'd love to have that guy on my team. I
Mm.
like. I know he had a really rough start to his to his career, but man, yesterday he just looked like a world beater. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it was an interesting anomaly where you have a bunch of ties and you have three teams with the same record. The Falcons win, and that puts, even though Carolina lost the game on Saturday to Tampa Bay, which is another game, which was that rainy slot fest we watched on Saturday. That meant that the Carolina won the division. I think there was somebody was saying that the Panther that they should have had Panthers division title shirts and hats for the Falcons in their locker room when they got to. But anyway, I think my big takeaway from this is that I think I'm very, very impressed with Shuck, and I think the Saints
Mm.
have a quarterback
Oh
to
yeah.
move forward with, which is more than the Falcons can say. And I really like where the Falcons defense is going, and I think they still have a really great core to go forward in. And the NFC South is the most entertaining dumpster fire of a division that we have.
I would
Always.
100% agree with that. And I think I agree with your Chuck point as well. I think he's proven that they don't actually need to go and look for one of these quarterbacks next year. They can see what they've got in him next year, give him a full year. And that's nothing against Spencer Rattler. I think he played, admirably in his starts to start, but then as soon as
Radler's a backup quarterback. He's
yeah,
not a
yeah, he is.
starter.
He is. But I'm saying that in the start of the season, he was playing like good enough at least, like not
Yeah.
great, but when Shuck came in, you could just see the difference. Especially with his scrambling ability as well. Like he seems to be the real deal, and I think he should definitely be in the running for, offensive rookie of the year with the way that he's kind of closed the season, which is, definitely impressive for him. And what, and this isn't a dig at you personally, Chapman. But what I find hilarious is that the Falcons could have potentially made the playoffs if they didn't lose to the Jets. Like that, it's
Oh
just
no, I think that's totally fair.
Uh,
it's just been one of those kind of crazy seasons. Like
if
it's mad.
and not only that, if that game was flipped, the Jets would have the number one overall pick in
Hmm.
Mm.
as well.
So
I
it's
mean,
just mad.
we also lost 3 games in overtime this year.
Mm.
We lost to to Carl's Patriots by, we could have tied that game, but we missed an extra point when we couldn't figure out who our kicker was. I mean, there's a reason why Raheem Morris lost his job today,
Yeah,
and but anyway, which we'll talk about in a minute. Fletch, what do you want to do on this time thing?
This seems like a good place to just we'll pause it here.
Yeah.
Um, and there are people listening right now going, "What on earth's going on?" Like, you don't have to worry about it. We'll be back in about 6 seconds.
let's go.
And we're back. It was like 2 seconds and we were gone. Okay, guys, and we're back. We were talking about the NFC South as a dumpster fire.
Yes.
By the way, can we just say this really quick? It was a three-way tie for first because of it. That's just insane. Um, anyway, just really, really funny stuff going on in this division. But it's funny. I'm more bullish about the Falcons and Saints than I am. Well, I think Carolina's got a pretty good team. I don't know what they're going to
Yeah.
do with Bryce Young, but I think the Tampa Bay, we're just watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just age down. Like they
Fall
just look
apart.
old. Yeah, they
Yeah.
just look old, fall apart. And I'm interested to see if I'm assuming they're going to keep Todd Bowles only because he has taken them to the playoffs, the last few years and won the
But there's
division.
an
So
argument to be made as well that, they did the wrong thing by letting Liam Cohen go to Jacksonville, that they didn't just
obviously.
promote from within and
Which is
hire
why
him as the
everyone
head
should
coach. So,
like 9 out of 10 times hire the offensive coach versus the
yeah.
defensive coach. Yes, there are great exceptions
It's
to
an
the rule. Mike
offensive
Vick.
league. Like it is,
Yeah,
these defensive coaches just don't survive typically.
yeah, yeah. That's true. All right, let's move on. I'm going to pick a game, and I am going to pick the Texans Colts game,
Mm.
which really was. I mean, was it meaningful? I can't. Did it
So
decide anything?
it was initially because it was based on how the Jags game was going against the Titans, and at one point the Titans were leading, which would have mean that the Jags, would have
The
mean that
Colts, you mean?
the Texans, yeah, well,
Oh,
no,
that's right. I'm sorry.
in
Sorry.
the
I
other
know what you're saying.
game,
Yeah, yeah.
is
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
well,
if
before
the
Cam
the
Ward.
Titans
Texans
went
were
seven
leading
nothing
and the
up.
Jags were losing, then it would
Yeah.
mean that they could have jumped over them to win the division. But, that quickly went the other way. And then eventually, word got out in Houston that was happening. And they pulled CJ Stroud and what have you. Because, there's no point having your starting quarterback out there when
Out there. Right?
for a meaningless real game. But it was still an exciting game nonetheless. Riley Leonard
Yeah.
looks like he looked pretty good
He
out
looked
there.
good.
He did. He
Um,
did.
Alex Pierce
Oh,
finally showed up after doing nothing for weeks. So
I mean, he's gonna get a boatload of free agency though. Alec
yeah.
Pierce, I think he's got 7 touchdowns this year. He's that deep threat guy. Someone's gonna pay him a bunch of money. So yeah, and the best thing of this game as well, because it was kind of tight towards the end, was the thick six. Because they tried to get the defensive lineman, Fletch, his name escapes me, but yeah, they tried to get him a touchdown into the end zone on a kind of run play, but CJ Stroud ended up taking him for a touchdown, only for him then later in the game to then get an interception and rumble in for a touchdown, which was electric. What's his name, Fletch? You're muted.
I'm gonna butcher the living sugar out of this. Togiai.
Yes.
Togiai.
Is it Tommy Togiai or something? Yeah,
honestly, I
something
don't know
like
his
that.
first name. I just know that
Yeah,
I'm just
but
reading the last
he's
name and butchering it.
a big human being. So, and I love watching big human beings just move.
Six sixes.
Nice.
If you could give me every single potential score in any football game ever, I will take a thick six as my favorite of all of them.
Yeah,
Especially the ones that make them need gas and air on the sidelines after they've done it. They're the best ones.
They're the best. Well, you touched on the other games. So Jags beat the living daylights out of the Titans 41-7 as a warm up into the playoffs. Cam Ward gets hurt in this one, goes out, I think in the second quarter, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah,
after
Yes.
scoring a
yeah.
touchdown, I think it was so.
Funny enough, they
Um,
actually were leading 7-0 before he went out. So
yeah, so but the Jags, yeah, they bounce into and they're the third seed, I believe, right?
I hold up my hands as well. I've been a hate well, I mean hate is a strong word, but I've been a the opposite of a fan of Trevor Lawrence. But
Yeah.
he's proven me wrong the second half of this season. I mean, he's got, I think, the most total touchdowns in franchise history in a season. This season, and they're clicking on all cylinders. So I know they're playing the Bills next week, but watch out, Buffalo, because the Jags are just, yeah, they're
And that Buffalo defense can't stop a freaking coal right now.
exactly,
So
that's
I
it.
agree with you.
So
Yeah, I
it's
completely agree with
yeah,
you.
they're going to be a matchup nightmare.
There, I mean, we're going to get to that in just a minute. Let's just
Yeah.
finish through these games. So I'm going to read off some scores. If there's anything you want to talk about, let me know. Packers lose to the Vikings. They don't start any of their starters, 16-3. JJ McCarthy ends the season 9-8. The Giants beat the Cowboys 34-17. Dak doesn't play in that game. Yeah. Bills win 35-8 over the hapless Jets. Jets finish 3-4 and have the second seed, or sorry, this the
Second,
number two, second draft
yeah,
pick. Yeah,
the
number.
second pick, and the one tidbit from the game: the Jets are the first franchise in
That's
NFL
right.
history to finish a season with zero interceptions. Um, congratulations there.
That's
There,
almost insane, isn't it? That's even
not one interception.
Um, Here is a game that was slightly interesting, which Fletch, the Lions win 19-16 over the Bears. The Bears were trying to win this game and they
Hmm.
could not. The Lions, I mean, I will say the commentators were commenting on this a lot about Dan Campbell and how he's kept his team together, and they played very hard to finish the season with a winning record. And while it kind of sometimes it goes a little overboard because there's all with the the media people who love different coaches and whatever, but I thought it's meaningful, like I think it does say a lot. And
Yeah,
I still think Dan Campbell needs to get an offensive coordinator that can call plays because I saw a
Yeah.
couple of different times where Dan wasn't getting the call in and it was a little bit of a mess, I think, on the sideline. I feel like he has a little too much on his plate, but
yeah,
good to see. It wasn't high scoring, but I think it was a good high note. And honestly, the Bears, you feel a little one and done to me, but we'll see.
Mm.
It's a great Packer. I think the Packers are probably going to punch them in the face because I just don't know if the Bears know how to win in January yet, but we'll see.
So
yeah,
excited for that matchup because
I
it'll
hope
be
it's a
the
great game.
third
That's all I'm
time that
up.
yeah. I mean,
they
Yeah.
played this year. And the only other tidbits on the other games, I was just going to say on the Vikings game, what a career for Harrison Smith.
yes,
15 or 16 years as a pro, all with the Vikings. Four-time Pro Bowler, active leader in interceptions. He got his standing ovation in the game, and also for CJ Ham as well, 10-year veteran of the Vikings. Just a great locker room guy. Just seems like a great guy in and out. So even though the game was meaningless in a way, for them to be able to get their swan songs was something else.
yeah. I've made it clear before, by the way, that, and I've had this debate yesterday with numerous people. I don't I don't like tank. I just don't like losing, and I don't care about draft picks. I just don't like losing. It sucks. I hate it. So, um, I am really, really happy with the win. I think the difference was 14th and 17th in the draft, and if you have confidence in your GM like I do, like that doesn't make the grandest difference. So I'm glad to get a win what the culture's based on is being and playing tough, and they did exactly that. You don't let anybody have a game where they have a free pass to not play the way you want them to play. Great win, really, really happy with it. But I think the one thing for me was after the game, I watched the interview with Dan Skipper. Obviously, now getting to who's retiring, who's not. I'm sure there's a particular name that may come up later on in this podcast on whether he does or doesn't retire in that question. Dan Skipper is looks like he's retiring, and look, he's not the biggest flashiest name in the NFL by far. He's a roster guy. He's whatever. I got teared up a little bit listening to him talk about it. I'm like, what a guy. So I know he's obviously a huge fan of this podcast. Texts me all the time telling me how much he loves this podcast. So
I would
thank you,
hope so with
Skip.
the amount of air he just got.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
probably
just
the
gonna put it
most
out
that
there.
anyone has ever talked about Dan Skipper. So appreciate
Love
it.
Besides
you,
his
Skip.
mom.
Love you, Skip. Thank you for everything if you do retire. Um, So I just wanted to throw that one out there. And yeah, I admit I cried like a bitch. I also cried like a bitch after watching Stranger Things, so it's not been a proud few days for my masculinity at this point.
I can definitely tell you, I've never cried with any of my favorite players retiring. Maybe, but I cry at other things. I cry in movies. So there you go, Fletch. So, um, since we're sharing and being vulnerable.
I will
Anyway,
create a room full of tears when Patrick Mahomes retires. So
yeah.
yeah.
Also, I just want to point out too really quick that the Lions defense definitely showed up yesterday, and it just felt like it was really hard for Caleb Williams to do anything, and he was running around, and there was just. But I know that he was missing some key wide receivers and some stuff. Colton Loveland had a great game,
Holston
and
Loveland. Yeah. I mean, he
Colson
doesn't
Loveland, sorry.
he's I think he's had like two drop or like one drop this year, and that was like a couple weeks ago. Like his surest hands, and he had a monster game. I think he had over like what, like 150 odd yards, like two touchdowns or something like ridiculous like that. He's just got vice grip on the football.
Yeah. It's that weird juxtaposition as well, isn't it? When like your college team, an NFL player, someone from your college team who you absolutely love joins at the time at college goes into an NFL team, particularly a rival. So I think I could walk away from that one and be just be happy for Coastal Loveland. If it was earlier in the
Mm.
season, I'd be fuming. But happy for Colston, as a Michigan man right there. And yeah, 10 receptions, 91 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Great game.
Oh, last Monday I was telling Matthew Stafford to bugger off, man, as we say here.
Well,
So I get it.
the other
Shall we just
tidbit,
get to? No,
the, the,
we got a tidbit. I love a tidbit.
a tiny tidbit. This is
Oh, that's
with
right.
the Vikings and the Lions winning, both teams ended on 9-8. The Packers finish on 9-7-1, and the Bears obviously finish on 11-6. It is only the second time in NFL history that an entire division has all finished with a winning record. Quick question: can you name me the other time it happened, and which
Last
division?
year.
Wasn't last year?
Ooh, was it the year
Was
before?
it? Can I ask it? Can I guess the division?
Yes,
Is it in the NFC or the AFC?
AFC.
Okay, it was the AFC West.
Nope,
Is it
Oh,
AFC
okay.
North?
it was the AFC North. Yes, in 2023,
2022?
2023.
Ah,
The Ravens
Really?
finished on 13-4. Browns were 11-6. The Steelers were 10-7, obviously, and then the Bengals were 9-8. It could have happened in 2030, no, 2008 in the NFC South, but the Saints, who were 8-7 on the final week of the season, lost and went 8-8. So all
mm,
teams were .500 or above, but not all of them had a winning record.
I remember that season too.
Little bit of trivia for you when that comes up in a pub
That was
quiz.
Matt
That
Ryan's
well,
first season.
there you go.
Nice one. That's a good piece of trivia. Speaking of trivia, we had a one of the great American well, it's probably a newer record, but one of the great NFL records was broken yesterday, and that was Myles Garrett setting the
Mm,
season sack record at 23 against the Bengals, sacking Joe Burrow in the fourth quarter of the game. Browns win that game 20-18. Um, I, I wish Ollie was on today. We were texting with him. I know he was really happy. In a Brown season, another lost Brown season, it's something to remember. I'm really happy for Myles because I think he is obviously a generational defensive player, if not the best defensive. Well, he is the best defensive player in the league. I wish he had done it against Rodgers
Yeah.
because it would have been very poetic last week. But and also within that 16 games, so who cares? It is what it is. No one's gonna question this
But it's
record.
also poetic in the sense that he did it against the quarterback that he sacked the most times as well, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
quite funny. But
It
yeah.
it did feel
I
like at
almost felt
one
like he
point.
kind of like just felt he was just
I
like,
know it,
oh,
it did feel like it wasn't like Brett Favre level fall down and Michael
no,
Strahan
no,
get
not
the
at all. It
record
was a
and
legit sack, but Joe knew he was done, so he was just sort of
yeah,
like,
and
I'm
Michael
gonna.
Strahan coming out afterwards and saying, "Well, he's got 16 games." Like the guy's just a jackass, to be honest. Like I don't think like I mean, and now the record will show that he doesn't have the record, so I like that.
Um, it was a bit worrying at one point though, because I think it came with 5 minutes and 12 seconds to go in the game.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
get to the fourth quarter and you think it's not gonna happen. And we've all spoke. We don't need Ollie to be on to have a serious Myles Garrett glazing session if we wanted to, because I know everyone on this podcast absolutely loves him. I was worried that he wasn't gonna get it at one point, and I think I was watching Red Zone for the early games. So when it came through and Scott Hansen kind of called it, just a little bit of relief because also I'd made a graphic and I didn't want that graphic to go to waste and all that other stuff that I was doing. So thank you, Miles, for that one as
I
well. But
almost teared up
congratulations to him.
at that one as well. I know Ollie did. So you talk about Dan Skipper, but him breaking that record,
Yeah,
just knowing the sort of player that he is and all that. So it's just amazing. So yeah, happy to see it for.
yeah. And could you imagine what number he'd get if he did get more help along the whole defense?
Yeah,
And
I
if
was going to say if he doesn't get double or triple teamed, he probably get like 30 plus sacks.
or if the offense was better, so they're not
Yeah,
trailing in games as much.
yeah.
So there are more passing opportunities on for him to get. Like there are so many things that shouldn't work for him getting that sack record, and yet he broke it. So just yeah, insane player. Very very happy that he broke it. Incredible,
Definitely.
just incredible stuff.
Sorry guys. I was just reading something I should not have been reading while we were doing the podcast. I was looking for something. Anyway,
The flip books again. No.
no, it had to do with my president. We'll talk about it offline. All right, guys. Broncos beat the Chargers 19-3. Chargers the one seed. We know that.
Cannot wait for the
Rams,
Broncos to lose in the playoffs.
hopefully, we'll see. Cardinals lose to the Rams 37-20. As you said, Fletch, Sean McVay gets his 100th win. Not a lot to report here. We'll see where the MVP voting goes. Still think they're probably just going to give it to Stafford as a lifetime achievement award.
Most
Um,
receptions as well. One tidbit from this game was that Trey McBride, who was
oh, that's
tied
right.
for the reception uh, leader this year with Puka Nacua, got 7 in this game. I mean, he's been the best tight end in football. 11 touchdowns, 10 yards per catch, most receptions in the league. Like the guy is just an absolute monster on a dumpster fire of a team. But at least he's, him and Michael Wilson are two bright spots for them at least.
Yeah. And the Rams are, sorry, they end up as the
Fifth
five
seed.
seed, yeah, the
Yeah.
fifth seed, and get to play the NFC South winner on Saturday. Um, these games, sorry.
So bad.
I know. Patriots wallop the Dolphins 38-10.
Can't wait to see
Eagles,
them lose as well. So
I hope so. Me too. Raiders beat your Chiefs. Chiefs playing all backups except for Travis. I mean, is that the last game we see
yeah,
Travis Kelce?
the only tidbit from this one is that Travis Kelce, I mean, if this is the
30,
final game of his career, then one hell of a career that he's had, one of the
yeah.
greatest of all time. I hope he comes back for another season personally, but we'll have to see. And he also became only the third tight end in NFL history to surpass 13,000 receiving yards as well, just to cement that greatness. So yeah, if 87 does hang it up, one of the greatest of all time, but hopefully not.
And he surpassed was it 30,000 yards? What was it? I forgot what it
13,000, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
13,000 career yards. So the
13,
only
yeah.
other two other people to do that are Jason Witten and Tony Gonzalez.
Antonio Gonzalez, of course, the great Tony Gonzalez. Um Eagles lose to Commanders. It's 24
Playing
to 7. It was, yeah,
backups.
all
Yeah.
backups. Yeah, game that didn't matter. So those are all the week 18 games. So let's talk about sort of the aftermath of this. So we've had as of this morning, we've had four different coaches fired. Browns fired Stefanski after 6 seasons. Cardinals fire Rich Gannon after three, or is it 4 seasons? Four?
Yeah, Jonathan Gannon, yeah.
Yeah,
After
Sorry, Jonathan, not Rich
I
Gannon.
think
Sorry.
he was there for 2 or 3 seasons.
It's at least three.
No,
No,
yeah, I think it's three.
it would have been
Because he
four because
was
he was there, right? He left after the Eagles lost that Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl that the one they lost before.
yeah, he was the
No, he
defensive
was
coordinator.
no, he was the offensive
He was
coordinator.
the offensive coordinator for the Eagles' first Super Bowl
That's right.
against
So
the
that
Chiefs,
the
which was
Chiefs,
2022. So it'll be 3 years.
4 years, 3 years. Okay,
4 years. Yeah,
4 years.
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
the Raiders move on from Pete Carroll after
Yeah.
1 year. And I think that's good. I think I love Pete. I have a lot of respect for Pete, but it just feels like was not for him. And then the Falcons fire both GM Terry Fontenot and head coach Reed Morris, and also have displaced their president, Rich McKay, who's been with the team for over 20 years. He's still going to be working for Arthur Blank in other
Yeah.
capacities. But Rich McKay famously was the GM that won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, the first one that they won, and then came to the Falcons. Famously hired Bobby Petrino, which lost his job as GM, but then was promoted weirdly to become the president of the team. Then eventually became the CEO, and has been an ire of Falcons fans because he's basically the little finger in the Falcons organization next to Arthur
Mm.
Blank all those years. But anyway, so
I
so
wanted
we
to ask you
also
about the Falcons one though, in terms
yeah, yeah.
of obviously I know we discussed how we thought that Raheem Morris was going to get fired, but with Terry Fontenot also getting fired, it's just a total shake-up. It's start from block one.
So I'm I may have mentioned this on the pod. I'm a season ticket holder, and so they sent Arthur Blank sent a really amazing email this morning, just basically breaking down, basically saying this is on me. We have not done what we need to do, and he brought in a company about 2 months ago to basically a consultancy to look through their operations head to toe. And I will say this, like, look, nothing against Rich McKay. He's on the advisory committee. He is a huge, like one of those backroom guys in the NFL. Was a very good GM at one point. Has a lot of football knowledge. I've shook his hand a couple of times, but the Falcons organization just from the top down needed a change, and this is actually going to happen. Also, Arthur Blank's 83 years old, and his son Josh is going to eventually, I think, take the team over. And Josh is I think in his late 20s, early 30s. Anyway, so yeah, it's something they needed. And look, I'm actually was really torn on Terry Fontenot because look, you didn't get the quarterback right after 5 years. You kind of got to go, and you didn't have a winning team in 5 years. You kind of got to go. But the last two draft casts, if you put Penix aside, have been awesome. I
Yeah.
mean, dude, he really hit. But the problem with Terry is that he was always overcompensating in areas, and then that caused us not to be able to address other areas versus sort of he was always overspent draft capital, was always trading up in the second round, and we were depleted. So we have a very decent starting roster, but we don't have a lot of depth. And anyway, and then poor Raheem, man, great guy, a dude you want in your as a coach, it's something, but just as a head coach, he just wasn't getting it done, man. You
Mm.
can't lose some of the games, and he's not a great tactician,
Mm.
offensive mind, even though he's a defensive guy.
Yeah.
Ulbrich obviously turned the defense around, and what do you bring into the table? and it wasn't game management, wasn't guys playing out of. I mean, I don't know. It was the team was too inconsistent. You beat the Bills, then you lose to the Dolphins. You beat almost. So you take the Pats to the mat, and then fall apart.
And what a season as well. I just wanted to point out for Bijan Robinson,
Oh man, yeah,
nearly 1,400 yards rush,
almost. Yeah, he was.
nearly 1,000 yards receiving as well. I mean, he's just
Well, he was
so good.
he was like 150 or some odd yards away
Yeah.
from the all-time scrimmage yard that Krishan said. Anyway, I'm interested to see where we go to with all these coaches. I mean, I was going to say the Giants obviously fired their coach and the Titans. So
Mm.
you have the Titans, Giants, Browns, a lot of high draft picks there in the first round. Raiders, Falcons, obviously, and the Cardinals. Of
Yeah.
those jobs, which ones would you guys be the most excited,
I think
honestly, taking?
I think for me, genuinely, what the main one I'm looking at probably is the Falcons because the roster that you have, there is so much talent loaded across that roster. It's that there's no reason that any decent coach who can put some of those things together could be winning and winning quite quickly with that roster. The only problem I think you've got is obviously the lack of a first round pick. You've also got to have a brand new GM in there with you. Um, that might be a bit of a push and pull. But genuinely, the talent on that roster is impeccable, and it's like see you've got a generational talent in Bijan Robinson right there. So you've got a lot of the pieces already. It's about putting them together and turning them into more wins than eight.
Well, but there's no quarterback and you have no first round
Mm.
pick, and so I
That's
think
the
I think
thing.
that dings us a little bit.
I would
Tom,
personally pick the Giants just because of the fact, as you said, they've got a high draft pick. They've seen what they have in Jackson Dart. They're obviously going to move forward with that. And you think about the players that they've got coming back. Cam Scarborough, he might be out of the league in 4 years, but, when he's healthy, he's, really exciting to watch. You got Malik Neighbors coming back. You got Brian Burns on that defensive line. You got Dexter Lawrence. Kayvon Thibodeau's probably going to go in free agency, but they can probably supplement that in the draft. So the offense you got with the defense needs a lot of work, other than the D line, but there is an exciting opportunity there, especially with the high draft capital that they've got and those players that they've got coming back. So I would probably pick the Giants.
yeah, uh, I would probably go. Yeah, I think I mean, what's interesting about what's interesting about the Raiders job, if you could tell Mark Davis
Mark
just to
Davis,
like get
yeah.
yeah to get out of the way. You can start building that thing from the ground up, man. And you can fashion it in a way sort of like I think about when Shanahan took over that 49ers job. Like that team was not good and he just built it in his own image. Like if Mark Davis would not pick a retread and pick a young coach to come in and really, not Josh McDaniels, somebody who has like real acumen, it could be an interesting job. Arizona, not interested in. No offense to Ali, the Browns, and that's not about the players. It's more about the organization, because it just doesn't feel like you're going to get the support. Though I do think there's some talent on the team, and then yeah, I don't know. And thank you for saying that about the Falcons. Yeah, I mean we're not a couple players away, but like you said, I think there you could if you can figure that quarterback position out in the next 2 years, it could be, and I'm sorry to say that about Penix. Like I don't think you can bet your franchise on a guy who's blown his ACL out that many
It's just
times
a
now.
shame, isn't it? Because
It
Yeah.
he's
sucks.
you can see, some of the plays where he can play really well, but
Yeah.
with the guy that's already blown his ACL twice before
Three, no,
this,
yeah,
this
not
is the
yeah.
third time, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
So
So
it's
granted, it
you
was the same
can't,
one twice, and now this is the other
yeah,
one. So,
yeah, but it's just you can't rest the
yeah,
laurels of your
yeah,
whole franchise on a
yeah.
player like that,
Um,
unfortunately.
one
Fletch. Oh,
sorry, what
good.
one that I do think is a really interesting job though would be the Titans one. And some
Mm,
of the rankings I've seen so far have mostly put the Titans as the worst one. out of them, but you've got Cam Ward, who, especially if you look towards the last few games of the season, made some incredible plays this year. He's looked a lot better behind centre for the last few games of the season, and looking at things like they've got a ton of cap space going into the off season as well. You've got why can I not remember his name? Previously of the Chiefs was GM. Um,
Oh yeah.
Scott Poley.
No, no, you're on about Dingy Gonzi,
that's it, Mike Bogonzi.
Mike
Um,
Bogonzi, who was with the Chiefs for 17 years. Yeah.
Like he's going to go into his second year as a GM, so he'll start making real strides in terms of his drafting and all that sort of stuff. I think it's an interesting prospect because again, that team has some decent talent around the
Even their
entire
rookies
roster.
this year, they drafted pretty well. Chimere DK, who was Pro Bowl returner, all-purpose yards leader, and then Manor as well, the rookie. They both
Yeah,
performed really well. So they've clearly got a few good players there. I think there's still a lot that needs to be done with the roster, but you can
yeah.
see the talent that Cam Ward has for sure.
I mean, according to Over the Cap right now, they've got
Yeah.
105 million in cap space going into the off
Wow.
season. So
Wow.
that's you talk about problems with the roster. That I mean, it is what it is, but that's a lot of money to work with to get that roster going for a decent head coach who's already got a quarterback in position, who's already got some of those pieces that you've mentioned there as well, Tom, in place to
Yeah.
succeed with.
Um, well, Fletch, are we gonna officially pick like playoff winners, like our games and stuff are, and like I'm assuming we're gonna do Super Bowl picks, but are is it
Yeah,
worth doing
so
in
I mean, I'm gonna figure out what we're gonna do in terms of like admin wise and off camera wise, but we'll be doing a. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a pick'ems going, and we'll try and get a proper pick'ems. Tom, did you win the pick'ems in the end on the sleeper? I haven't jacked.
What, as in this week?
I mean, for the season,
Uh,
because I know the season's done now with the actual
I
pick'em
don't know
thing.
because what some of the seasons, some of the time it didn't record it, I don't think, but I came close at least.
I'll double check that later, just
Yeah.
given time. But
As in, are we doing it now though? Are we
oh
going
yeah,
through our
go for it, go for it, go
yeah,
for
yeah,
it.
yeah, okay, perfect.
Okay, cool. One quick thing, guys, I did want to mention, not to go back to the Falcons, but what's really interesting is so they're creating a new head of football operations position, and it is probably, and if all the rumors are true and all the things the Atlanta media has, Matt Ryan will take that position
Mm.
and be part of hiring the GM and the coach, and he will basically be running all of football operations. Excited, yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, I saw that he'd been in talks with Arthur Blank about a position. I wasn't sure which one it was.
So
So that's yeah, that would definitely be a legend of the franchise bringing his takes and all that sort of stuff. So I think that's great.
yeah. But also, Matt has excelled at almost everything he's done in his life, and it'd be interesting to see if he can't come in and help us reach the promised land. So,
Yeah.
all right, should we just
So
quickly go through, plow through?
I'm
I got the games up.
okay. I've got a full on simulator here ready to go.
Oh wow.
Um, so right, Tom, we'll go with
Yes.
you first. Go on
Yeah.
the AFC side. Chargers at Patriots, 7-2. Who are you taking in that one?
Chargers.
Chargers. Then you've got Bills at Jags
I'm gonna take the Jags with an upset because the Bills defense, as Chapman said, Swiss cheese.
and the Texans at Steelers.
Yeah, give me Texans, Steelers with another first round exit.
Lovely. And Chapman, Chargers at Patriots,
I'm gonna go Chargers,
Bills at Jaguars,
Bills,
and Texans at Steelers.
Texans.
Three road wins in the first round. And then we'll go over to the NFC and you can start us off on this one, Chapman. Packers at Bears.
This is a hard one, but I think the Packers are gonna win this game.
49ers at the Eagles.
Man, I hope this is true. I hope the 49ers win this game so we don't have to watch any more of this Eagles team.
And then the Rams at the Panthers.
Rams.
So wise choice that one. Then going over to you, Tom. Packers at Bears,
Yeah, give me the Packers.
49ers at Eagles.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't want to see the Eagles progress, but the 49ers are really banged up, so give me the Eagles at home.
Okay, and then the Rams at the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm picking the Rams. You know, they played the Panthers early in the season. They played their worst game and they only lost by three.
Yeah.
So yeah, give me the Rams in that one.
So heading over to the divisional round, Tom, on the AFC side, we have the Chargers at the Broncos, 7-1.
I mean, this is a lose-lose from an AFC West perspective, but give me the Chargers. I like Justin Herbert in this
Oh, the
one.
bye week not working for the Denver Broncos. What about the Texans at
Fuck the
Jags?
Broncos.
A-
Texans and Jags.
AFC
Oh,
West and an AFC South matchup.
give me the Texans in an upset.
Cheeky. What about the Packers at Seahawks?
Give me the Seahawks.
Bye week works for them. Rams at Eagles.
Give me the Rams to get their revenge on the Eagles and blow them out of the playoffs.
Ooh, I like it. Uh, Chapman, we've got Chargers at Broncos again.
I'm gonna go Broncos.
Bills at Texans.
Bills.
Bills. And then we've got the Packers at Seahawks
I'm gonna go Seahawks.
and the 49ers at the Rams.
I'm gonna go 49ers.
Lovely. So we're going to go into the conference championships now. We have the Buffalo Bills at the Denver Broncos, Chapman.
Broncos.
Oh, I thought you
Wait,
were
wait, say that again. Say that again. Wait, who is it?
The Buffalo
Conference.
Bills at
Oh
the
no, no,
Denver
no. I have the
Broncos.
Bills. I have the Bills.
I was
Sorry,
gonna
excuse
say,
me.
man, you're the Bills.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's.
Josh
I
Allen,
was.
you
I have
can't
to. I
just
have
make
to
a
stay with
quote
my
there.
picks. Yeah, it's Bills. It's Bills. It's Bills. Not
Then you
Broncos. Sorry.
have an NFC West matchup for the championship in the NFC. San Francisco 49ers at the Seahawks. Who are you taking?
I have the Seahawks and the Bills in the Super Bowl.
Interesting. And then Tom, championship
Yes.
weekend, Chargers at Texans.
Give me the Chargers.
And then the Rams at the Seahawks. Also an NFC West matchup, just slightly different.
Mm, Give me the Seahawks.
Seahawks. So, Chapman, really quick, you have the Buffalo Bills at the Seattle Seahawks. Can the Bills lose their fifth Super Bowl or will they finally win one?
Yeah, I think this is Josh Allen's year, but I have every right to change my mind after this weekend about anything. Yeah, I got to go Bills. I said Bills at the beginning of the season. I'm going to stick with the Bills for now until proven otherwise.
Okay, so Tom, 2 years after he wins a national championship in college football, will Jim Harbaugh win a Super Bowl? He's been there before and lost to his brother.
I'm afraid not. Sam Darnold is going to be lifting that Lombardi trophy in February.
Lovely. So we have a Bill. We both have. Well, sorry, you have a Bills Super Bowl winner and a Seahawks Super Bowl winner. It's funny that the NFC guys chosen the AFC to win the Super Bowl and the AFC guys chosen the NFC to win the Super Bowl. I quite like the. I quite like the.
I just think the NFC is the much better conference this year. So
You should be in our text, Fletch. I just stopped listening at some point because it just becomes like this mishmash of just who gives a shit. Anyway, yeah. But we'll see. I'm interested to see how far the Seahawks team can go. I really am. But I'm like literally do not want to see Matthew Stafford in another Super Bowl.
mm,
Only because I'd like Matt Ryan to eventually get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And then I know that's a weird cop, but it just is. And then I don't know. It just feels like a year where something weird, like some weird stuff's gotta kind of shake through, and I I I don't know. We'll
don't
see.
get me wrong. I picked the Jags to beat the Bills, but I would not be surprised if the Bills blow out the Jags next week
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
go to the championship game and Josh Allen play out of his mind like he does in the playoffs. So yeah, I could definitely be mincing my words.
I got no feel for the season, just to be really honest with you. So
Free.
I think we're in for a good playoffs, though, Tom. What do you think?
I agree. I agree. I think it will be tough to top the 2021 playoffs was just something else. I'll always remember that because, the Bills, Chiefs, the Bengals, their historic run, everything that happened, Rams, 49, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think we're in for a good one because we've got some hot teams as well. The Jags have won like 8 in a row or something. The Texans have won 9 in a row, hottest team in the NFL. So, I think there will be an upside too, that's for sure. And I'm with you, Chapman, in that I really do not want the Patriots to go anywhere far in the playoffs.
No,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, at least, I mean, I'm biased against a couple of teams, and the Pats are one of them. Also, I listen, I famously know, you guys know, I love Bill Simmons, listen to him a lot, and his podcast has just become a daggum. It's half of it's Patriots and the rest is the NFL. So it's just like, but you know what? Drake May is good, man. He is good.
He is very good.
I had him in fantasy in 2 leagues this year. I watched a lot of Drake May, and he is good. So
Yeah.
don't hate the player.
What?
Oh,
What's
Fletch.
what? One more follow up on Tom's comment about the 2021 playoffs. It also ended with, look, I'm gonna be perfectly honest here. The best Super Bowl halftime show of at least our
Oh,
NFL watching
yes.
generation.
100%.
We can't take out the real part of all of this, which was that Super Bowl halftime show was elite. Um,
Even 50 Cent hanging out upside down was
yep.
elite. So,
Um, so just saying, I just that needed to be said. It needed to be said.
100%.
And I do
Well
mean
said,
it.
Fletch.
Thank you, Tom. I feel like Chapman's
Well, no, I'm mad because I mean, we don't have to get into the politics of what happened when Atlanta had the Super Bowl and we did not have a hip hop Super Bowl. They gave us Maroon 5 because of
Oh yeah.
Rihanna and multiple black artists saying during that time, if you remember what was going on in America, that they
Hmm.
would not do anything
Yeah.
in the NFL. And then a year
Yes.
later, when everybody was writing checks again, everybody went right
Mm.
back to the daggum. So I'm very sore about the LA getting what they got and us not getting what we
Um.
should have gotten it.
Yeah, we should have got
No
an
offense.
Andre 3000.
You should have gotten Ti. You should have
Yeah,
gotten no. You should have gotten. They should have gotten Outcast. And Outcast not having done a Super Bowl is outrageous. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah,
whatever.
I agree.
I'm still annoyed with last year's halftime show because I went to an NFL, like I went to like a watch party in a pub, and I was promised, like I just said, look, I just want one thing out of all of this. I want someone to allow me to watch Kendrick Lamar because, like, obviously, and like one of my favorite artists of the last 15, 20 years, Kendrick Lamar. He was
Me
like,
too.
you go on every the last 5, 10 years for my Spotify raps on my Apple Music raps and all that sort of stuff. He's up there. I absolutely love the guy. I was promised it, and then instead of getting that, I had to watch some two-bit country karaoke singer do a halftime show. One of the worst things I've ever watched. And I've spent the whole time. I think this is like to end on a funny note. I spent the whole time. There's a TV right behind him with Kendrick Lamar. And I was trying to mouth along with Kendrick Lamar's, but just so I knew which song he was singing to get me through it. Um, so I'm a bit gutted that I missed last year's.
Well,
Looking forward to
Fletch,
seeing Bad Bunny this year, though. I'm not
I,
gonna
I
lie.
was gonna say, well, just think when Detroit gets a Super Bowl, Eminem has to be, even if he's 60 or
Do you
65,
know
like,
what?
Won't happen.
I'd take, and I know me and Chapman spoke about this on Thanksgiving, the Jack White performance when Eminem came out
oh, that was great.
was
That was elite.
Well,
amazing.
that's what it should be. If Detroit ever gets a Super Bowl, which they'd have to build a new stadium to get, it should be a Detroit music celebration. It's what Atlanta should have been. I mean, that's
Mm,
essentially what the LA thing was. I mean,
yeah,
outside of Eminem being there, the rest of those guys are all California deep, you know what I mean?
yes,
So
And
like
well,
yeah,
that's
50
what it
yeah.
Cent as
should.
well. 50 Cent's New York, innit?
Oh yeah, he's New York. Sorry. Yeah, but all right. It was a death row stuff.
But
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Come
Yes.
on. Calm
Um,
down, everybody.
but
I actually
the
saw those guys live when they were in their prime, not fucking 50 years old. So anyway, um, Open Smoke Tour, check it out. They're trying to redo it this year. I saw the
Nice.
original. Um, yeah, yeah, because the Detroit music is so rich from Motown to rock
Yeah.
and roll to obviously, the hip hop and stuff. So I think like, it would be interesting. So,
There, there
uh,
is a Detroit artist technically who headlined, I think headlined a Super Bowl halftime show. Um, let's double check this. But you'd never think he was from Detroit unless you knew it. Um, yeah, the Super Bowl halftime show 2014,
Hmm.
Bruno Mars, Red Hot Chili
uh,
Peppers, Anthony
that was,
Kiedis, the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who only ever talks about California in every single song ever, is from Detroit.
Wow.
So I think that's funny. And
um,
Flea as well has some
that
connections to
was,
Detroit.
I remember that Super Bowl. I remember watching because I missed my friend's party and he got really mad at me because I was working, my house in LA, I was building a deck in the back and
Yeah.
yeah, it's very boring. That was the Peyton Manning got a safe, like he threw like 500 million yard. That was that one, right? It
It
was
was
the
the
safe.
no Seahawks
That's the New York
It was
43.
one.
the Seahawks.
That's the Seahawks one, the first
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
The one they, yeah, it's the one that won. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they got a safety on the first play of the game. Remember that had
Yeah.
never hit before.
Yeah, the one where it got snapped over his head on the first play of the game. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, and it
Yeah.
was like a touch.
Yeah.
That so I don't. I think that was the first safety in Super Bowl history, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken,
wow.
because there's guys who had bet for years. It's a 50-50 prop bet, and it always just you bet it every year. Yep, and it hit. Also, the people who bet that it was the first play of the game would be a safety. Like it's a huge. The
That would be
odds on it are
crazy.
huge.
Yeah.
Hit. I'll admit because that's when I used to bet a lot. I loved betting, so that was like anyway. Before they got an AI ruined all the odds. All right. I'm excited about this weekend though.
Yeah.
I am going to try to stay up for the Saturday night game. I will not be staying up for the Sunday night games, but
I think
well,
it's
not
I
worked out quite well that the really good matchups are earlier in the day on Saturday and Sunday, and the ones that that aren't as good are the late games. So I don't mind missing them to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
um I can't
I
wait. I
am
mean, it's
interested.
it's it's like 5 nights. You've got college football playoff semi-final one on Thursday, semi-final two on Friday, and then 3 days of the NFL playoffs. It's a great time to watch football this
Yeah,
week.
man, those college football games, those are gonna be interesting. It's very
I can't
weird,
wait.
but that's not this podcast.
Yeah, if
All
you want
right,
the college football previews and all that sort of stuff, head over to the College Football UK podcast.
please do, please do. I I pop in every once in a while.
Yeah,
Not this
you've
time because
you've
my
got to
team's
join.
done.
Gotta say we had booked two Hurdle the Line members for the semi-final appearance because they were both due to play each other. Neither of them are appearing now.
I almost talks not like I okay, so I don't think I've ever told Ollie this, but I absolutely cannot stand American Ohio State fans. Like they're some of my least favorite people on the planet. In terms of college fans, no offense to anyone. And I just hate their like anyway. You remember when you told me I'm what is it the wine and Quinoa crowd and Arsenal fans? That's
Oh
what
yeah,
Ohio
yeah, yeah,
State is.
yeah. The Quinoa
And that's
Salad
what
crowd.
Michigan is too, just to be very fair. Anyway, um, yeah. Anyway, I was like, and then obviously, look, fair play to Ole Miss. Like this is not this podcast, and we're going to
Yeah,
end this
yeah,
NFL podcast now. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us, Tom, Fletch. Great to see you. I wish you guys, not that I'm not going to see you in the future, but I'm wishing you now a wonderful 2026, and to the rest of our listeners, a happy 2026. I hope you enjoy the games this coming weekend. Obviously, we'll be back on Monday reviewing everything except for the last game, I think, because there is a Monday night game again, which I hate. So why don't we hurdle that wild card weekend?